Hey y'all, what's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are new to the channel, hello, welcome. My name is Sammie Nicole of the Sammie Nicole and FeeFee show, and this is a channel that I co-host. Make sure my mic is on. This is a channel that I co-host with my oh so beautiful mother FeeFee, and we typically like to go live each and every Thursday and Saturday, usually in the evening time. And on our channel, we just love discussing all things love, life, relationships, pop culture as well, from both the millennial perspective, myself, Sammie Nicole, and the Gen X perspective, my oh so beautiful mother. So tonight we're doing a Sammie Nicole only live, a Sammie Says live, because I gotta talk to y'all a little bit more about what's going on with this Diddy trial. I mean, have y'all been watching and keeping up? I feel like it's just something new each and every day of this trial. Hey, my Ty, what's up? Make sure as you're coming into the live view, please be so kind. Please hit the like button as you're coming into the live. Please hit the like button. Double tap the screen and like, or in the upper right hand corner, click on the three dots and hit the like button. Or if you're watching a replay, hey, what's up, replay gang? Down below, make sure you hit the like button. And if you know anybody who you think might like this content, like may be interested in my commentary, please go ahead and share this live with them. Okay, before we get into it tonight, happy Tuesday, everyone. And occasionally on the Sammie Nicole and FeeFee show, we will do pop-up shows like we're doing tonight, but typically you can expect us to go live each and every Thursday and Saturday. Also, make sure you hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, so that way you can get notified each and every single time we go live. Make sure you select all in the drop down box once you hit subscribe, so that way YouTube can notify you. So if you're not getting notifications of the times that we go live, please make sure that you're checking your notifications for our channel, so that way you are getting notified every single time we go live. Also, we're very active in our community tab, aka our post tab. So if you don't want to know, when we're going to be going live, we usually try to give people, at least 10 minutes heads up when we're getting ready to go live, and we can do so when we remember to do so. So please make sure you're checking that as well. Hey, X is too complicated. What's going on? Yeah, this trial is off the chain. It's just everywhere. I mean, just when you think you have an understanding of what the dynamics were, between the alleged victims and Diddy, boom, another curveball is just thrown at you, and you just like, okay. It's just a lot to try to make sense of. It's just like always something happening, and it's just like, okay, now what didn't happen now? What he done did now? What was the nature of this relationship now? It's just a lot. So before we get into it, let me just put out my disclaimers. First things first, everything I'm going to be saying tonight is allegedly. Everything I'm going to be saying tonight is allegedly. Hell, even my name is allegedly. Because why? I don't know these people. I don't know Diddy personally. I don't know these victims personally. Okay. I'm just a content creator coming on here, sharing my opinions like everybody else. Okay. Everything I say is allegedly. Everything I'm saying tonight is allegedly. Hell, even my name is allegedly. All right. Second, I want to say all individuals are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Again, all individuals are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Okay, boom. Now that we got that out the way, I don't know these people. I'm just giving my commentary. Let's get into it. Okay. Child. So victim 2, or Jane Doe. I call her DP. I'm going to call her DP. Everybody calling her Jane Doe. I'm going to call her DP. No, DJ, excuse me. I'm going to call her DJ for her initials. Okay. Yes, X is too complicated. The chat is allegedly too. My dynamic family that's going to be in the chat, leaving comments, everything they say is allegedly as well. So I'm going to call victim 2 DJ. I'm going to call her initials. I ain't going to say her name. I'm going to call her DJ, even though I have no intentions of going to the trial in New York. So I can say her name technically, but for the sake of the sake of everything, I'll just say DJ. Child, so we find out that DJ put her hands allegedly on Diddy first. What y'all think about that? Allegedly, DJ was upset with Diddy because he was spending time with younger Instagram models and rappers, i.e., Young Miami, aka Carisha, please. And she was jealous and fed up because he's taking them to Turks and Caicos and going all out for their birthdays, and they're able to hang out and be around his family. But she's only able to really be around him primarily when it's hotel nights. And so she gets mad, goes off on him because she's seeing all of this stuff that he's doing with the other women on social media. They get into it. She allegedly pushes Diddy head, slams it up against a marble counter. Next thing you know, they get to fighting. He start chasing behind her. She go to lock herself in the bedroom, master bedroom, in the house they was staying in. He busts down the door. Then she go run to the bathroom, lock herself in the bathroom. He busts down that door. Then he allegedly started choking her. Child, what in the mess is going on? What did y'all think about that? I was shocked. Now, this happened back in what, the summer of 2024? I was shocked that DJ put them paws on Diddy like that because in the testimony, DJ stated that in one of the text messages, she told Diddy, "You're not going to do me like you allegedly did Cassie and Gina." So the fact that DJ allegedly texted that to Diddy and said, "You're not gonna do me like you did Cassie and Gina. I'm not Cassie. I'm not Gina." Well, what that mean? Hey, Jay Blake, what that mean? I'm not like Gina or Cassie. You not gonna do me like them. So now, when she said that, and that came out in the testimony, that had me thinking like, okay, so you did know about his evil and demonic ways then, DJ. You wasn't green and just, introduced into something without any knowledge like allegedly Cassie and Gina was. Cuz you said you're not going to do me like you did them. So what were you trying to imply? Were you um alluding to DV that you allegedly heard that he had in past relationships with Gina and Cassie? So to me, that made me feel like, okay, DJ, you heard about Diddy in these streets. There were obviously rumors going around about him and the way that he interacted with past girlfriends. So, did you know? Okay, my tie said she could have found out while with him. Okay, so if you found out before him or during your time with him, that makes me kind of question her. Like, to me, that gives more support to my perception of her, that she thought that things were going to be different for her. Whether she knew before she got with him or during, she knew his history and still continued to deal with him. So that makes me feel like, like I said in the last show talking about Diddy, that she really thought that she would be the exception to the rule. And that what Gina and Cassie and Kim and, all the other ladies went through with Diddy, she really felt like she would, be the exception to the rule, and that, he wouldn't do that with her. And so, that just kind of got me thinking like, okay, I understand that you were in love with him and you guys had a love contract, and he was your partner, but it's got me looking at DJ, a little bit more with a side eye. Not to say that I wasn't looking at her with a side eye before, but it's even intensified the side eye because it's making it seem like you low key knew what time it was, but you were hoping that you would have a different experience with him. And it's also making me look at her like, why would you, in some regards, knowingly put yourself in harm's way with this man? And it's kind of coming off like she risked her life, her health, and darn near her soul, the essence of who she is as a woman, for this man who really did not give a damn about her. She thought that they were in a relationship when the whole time Diddy was looking at her like an ex-worker. She thought that she was in a relationship with him, like Gina was in a relationship with him, like Cassie was in a relationship with him, and Kim Porter. And it just wasn't the case. I mean, the things that she's describing, I mean, I just I just don't understand how she could have thought that they were in a relationship, even with the sweet nothings. Hey, Miss Apple Pie, that he was telling her. It's just like, but look at how he was treating you. And she was keeping a log in her phone and her notes about how he was treating her. And I don't know. I mean, it's just a lot going on. And I know Diddy has a history of being a love bomber. And when you're dealing with somebody that's emotionally manipulative and abusive, you know, that's usually how things go. You get a lot of conflicting energy, and everything is so convoluted, and but it just seemed like to me that she bit off more than she can chew. Yes, y'all, please hit the like button, y'all. Double tap the screen and hit the like button. If you have not subscribed already, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Like. It just seemed like DJ bit off more than she could chew with Diddy. And that, because also, too, now that I'm thinking about it, DJ got with Diddy after her homegirl stopped talking to him, right? Remember, she met Diddy through her homegirl. He was originally her homegirl's man, and then they started messing around. And so I would be very curious to know, one, who was the homegirl, and two, if she went through some of the similar things with Diddy as well. Was he allegedly abusive towards her? Did he allegedly make her do hotel nights? I would be very curious to know, because it seems like she just bit off more than she can chew. I mean, on the outside, it looked good, like she was gonna make a bag, like she was gonna make a come up messing with Diddy. And it just seemed like she didn't really know the full scope of what was going on. I don't think she knew everything, so I'll give her grace in that regard. And I also still think that she thought that there'd be some exceptions to the rule for her. I don't know, because of, maybe because of the way she looked, or, maybe she felt like she would be more of a woman than Gina and Cassie. I don't know. As women, we can be real crazy and delusional when it comes to how competitive we are with each other. But let me see what y'all saying in the chat. It's just making me side eye her even more. Like, I stand by what I said in the last show. The elevator don't go all the way up, respectfully. It just don't, DJ. It don't. My Ty said, people always think I'm going to be different? Yes. Jay Blake said, right. Thought she was better and he wouldn't do it to her. Exactly. Yes, y'all. Double tap, double tap, double tap. Exes Complicated said DJ is for the streets in the bag, but I really feel for her son, allegedly. Yeah, I'm starting to feel that way too. How many of y'all in the chat think that DJ is for the streets? I hate to say it, but I think she is too. And I'm not mad, just so we clear, I'm not slut shaming. I'm not mad for any grown adult woman doing what she feels she wants to do with her body. I know in DJ's testimony, she stated that, she just always gravitates towards providers. Shout out to Pammy Pam and Attorney Simone, covering the case and keeping us informed. And so, that's just what she's used to. But I feel like, hell, I like providers too, y'all. But can we have a real conversation tonight? At what cost? I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting a man to be a provider, whatever that looks like for you, but how far are you willing to go to have said provider? You know what I mean? And I just feel like it's almost to the point that DJ was literally willing to do anything just to have access to this multi-billionaire provider man who, based off the testimony, he really didn't like her. He liked what she did for him, but he really could care less. I mean, it got to the point where he was chastising her and mocking her for sending him long text messages talking about how uncomfortable and unhappy she felt with their hotel nights and the way he was treating her and cutting her off and being dismissive and telling her, girl, stop, or we can just break up. We ain't got to be together. Like, basically, bitch, I don't give a about you. You can either stick with me, do your job like he told her, because I'm doing my job, or you can get the hell on. I don't care. And so I just feel like, as women, what price are we willing to pay to have said provider? Because, I think that if we are being realistic and grown tonight, you know, you got to give a little to get a little, right? I'm aware of that. I understand that, you know, you're going to have to give something and put in some type of work. There really is no such thing as a soft life. And I personally hate that term and hate that movement, soft life, because when you think about it, you have to put in some type of work, whether you're using your mind or whether you're laying on your back or you're on your knees. You are putting in some type of work. You know, even if you have an automated business, you still have to set in place certain processes, to support said automated business. You still have to work in some way, shape, or form. So that's why I don't really go for the whole soft life. I just think that's another social media gimmick to, get women to buy into and make money off of. Like the same thing with these like femininity courses. I feel like as women we don't need to pay somebody to teach us to be feminine. But that's another topic for another day. And if you notice, those courses and that femininity propaganda is usually always geared towards who? Us as black women. But that's a topic for another day. So, I just say that to say, at what cost are we willing to go to have a said provider? Because I feel like when you have somebody taking care of you, like I said in the last show, it does come at a cost. And what are you willing to pay? And it doesn't necessarily have to be anything traumatic like abuse or being forced to do hotel nights when you don't want to. But I do think that is a conversation that I don't see being had in the soft life or femininity or hypergamous spaces on the internet. When you listen to these women that come online and they're beautiful and they're gorgeous and, they're talking about soft life and hypergamy and getting to the bag and being with a baller, it's very rare that they keep it 100 with you and talk about, what you're going to have to deal with, in addition to the trips and the bills being paid and the Chanel bags, even though DJ was mad that she only got what was it, the Bottega bag, and Young Miami got the Chanel bag. We're going to have to talk about that too, because that was silly. You know, you still got to think about what price are you having to pay. And I feel like yes, I'm here for the show. They are not telling you the whole story. Exactly. That's my point. I feel like these women in these spaces that promote this, how to be feminine and soft life and hypergamy, they don't tell you the whole story. Like you saying, I'm here for the show. They don't tell you, what they have to deal with behind the scenes, especially with these influencers that are promoting this interracial relationship, right? Get older white men and get to the bag. Not saying that as black women we shouldn't keep our options open, because I definitely think that we should when it comes to love. But a lot of these, beautiful black women that you see on social media that are dating these older white men, a lot of them are not being honest about how, in the bedroom they're having to do a lot of race play with these white men. you know they're portraying themselves as slaves, while the white man is portraying himself as a slave master, and they're role playing like that because that's a part of his sexual fantasy. Or when they're intimate, he's calling out racial slurs during their intimate moments. They're not telling you about that. They're just telling you to put on a messy stiff wig and go to a high-end bar, at the Four Seasons, and sit at the bar and look cute and look nice, and you'll meet a rich man that way. But nobody's really telling you about the downside of it. And I feel like, with this story with DJ, Because I'm going to call her by initials. I ain't calling her Jane. I'm calling her DJ. Because I don't think I feel like she bit off more than she could chew. She thought she was going to make a come up, and it backfired on her. I think she thought she was going to be the exception to the rule, and things just backfired. Do I think that she shortchanged herself and Diddy shortchanged her? Yes, I do. But outside of that, I do think she should still get a nice little lump sum because she worked overtime. I mean, it was some night she was taking 3 dudes in one night. But outside of that, her being fairly compensated, I don't think she's that much of a victim. I don't. Outside of that. But anyway, getting back to my point, I feel like this is a good cautionary tale. This story between DJ and Diddy. It's a cautionary tale for all women, especially young women, who aspire to date wealthy men and affluent men to, take off the rose-colored glasses and really think about what the you gonna be dealing with these men. Now, I'm not saying every wealthy man is a sexual deviant and disgusting and demonic, but a lot of these wealthy men, because they have access to so much sex, what we look at as normal, regular sex, it just doesn't appease their appetite because they've done it, for so long with so many different people. Eventually, their sexual appetite starts to desire more deviant things in order for them to get off. And even in the testimony, Diddy wasn't really able to allegedly, be fully pleasured unless he was watching, the corn and watching the acts going down during the hotel night and having another man's semen be rubbed on him and all of that, because his sexual appetite, it's grown over the years. You got to think Diddy has been having money for the last 32 years, right? So, missionary, what we look at as, missionary or regular sex, that doesn't appease him. That doesn't fulfill his appetite anymore. So he wants to do more off the wall, more kinky, more taboo things because that's what he needs in order to get satisfied now, because he's done so much. And I just think that is something that really needs to be explained to these women who are out here pursuing these men. A lot of these wealthy men that you're interested in, I would say 8 out of 10, and that's me being generous and being nice, they are sexual deviants. And they're usually going to be into some things that you probably are not going to be comfortable with. And that's going to be out of your wheelhouse. Not to say that broke men aren't sexual deviants and, they like variety and like to try things. I think men in general like variety and are very curious, and we'll get into all type of things. But for the sake of this topic, we're specifically focusing on, wealthy, affluent men like Diddy and, you know, the downside of being with them and the reality of it. I just think that in these spaces, these social media influencers, I do feel like they need to start talking more about the downside of being with these men and what you're going to deal with, the abuse and the multiple women and just basically the demons that they're going to come with, and really challenge these women who are pursuing them to think about, can you handle this lifestyle or not? Is this something that you want to tolerate or not? Now, I get it. I know y'all probably saying, well, Samantha, they won't be able to make the same amount of money they're making on social media if they tell these women the truth about what it's really like to be with these men. So why would they do it? But, I still say I don't give a damn. They need to be challenged to tell these women the truth so they know what they're getting into, because it's not all glitz and glamour. It's not. Let me see what y'all saying in the comments. My Ty said, I watched the Tasha K, Keisha K interview. Okay, good, My Ty. What did you think about the interview with Gina? What did you think? Natural Beauty 2 said DJ. Yep. Yeah, DJ she need to, you know what? If DJ was smart, DJ people, if you watching, if you smart, if you're able to, once this trial concludes and wraps up, if you're able to write a tell-all book or do a YouTube or a podcast, I would strongly encourage you to do so. I know you have your own swimsuit line, but It's money for everybody, no tea, no shade, but we don't need another damn Instagram model doing a swimsuit line. We want you to write a book. We want you to do a podcast, you know, have a therapist, mental health therapist, co-host the podcast with you, and really start warning these younger girls that are coming up behind you. Now, I want you to get therapy first because based on your testimonies, you really struggle with being insecure. You are insecure about the most pettiest shit. So I would want you to work through that first. But once you work through that, I would love to see you do a podcast and have a mental health professional be your co-host, or you write a book and you just go around touring to different high schools and colleges and speaking to young women and going live on your social media platforms to really kind of warn them and just share what you learn. Don't let everything you've been through, DJ, be in vain, okay? And learn to save your damn money, okay? You getting around 7 to 12,000 from 50 Cent. You can live on 7 to 12,000 a month. I don't care. You can live comfortably on 7 to 12,000 a month. Even if that means you had to move out of California and go to Atlanta or Miami. You can live comfortably between 7 to 12,000 a month. That was allegedly what you getting in child support from 50 Cent. Okay. Now you could have continued to live off of that and save the 10K a month that Diddy was giving you. Okay. There's no reason why you should have been taking out credit cards to furnish the house that Diddy rented for you. Okay, you should have had your money stacked, but that's a topic for another day. Y'all don't get me started. Anyway, Miss Applefy says, so true, Sammie. I pray that the young women are paying attention. I really do too, because this is a lesson in love. This is a cautionary tale for, all women. It really is, and I just hope that she doesn't go through all of this for nothing. I hope she turns her pain into profit in a positive way and she can spin it. I know currently she's in a fight of her life. She's in a custody battle, allegedly with 50 Cent. So, after she gets done with this, she got to go and continue to fight 50. So I wish her the best. But, if I was a judge, I'd be looking at her sideways, like you're doing these extracurricular activities in the same house that your baby lays his head in. It would make me question her as a parent. It would. I'm sorry to say that, y'all, but her doing this in the home that her baby lays his head in, and probably some nights he could have been in even in the next room, it just doesn't sit well with me. I'm here for the show. Say exactly. No one tells them no. If you don't do it, someone else will. Right. And I think that's what, DJ was going through, and that was the attitude that Diddy had. Like, hell, like, bish, if you not getting with Paul and you not getting with Big D Willie tonight, I'll call somebody else to do it. But don't waste my time. And like Diddy said, he said, you need to do your job. He said, I'm doing my job. You need to do your job. This is why, I'm not going to keep paying 10K a month in your rent and you're not giving me what I want sexually. This is why I'm with you, you know? So let me see. And that's how a lot of these women feel. I remember one time I was watching an interview with Karrueche Tran. And if you guys don't know, Karrueche Tran is the ex-girlfriend of Chris Brown. She was the first serious relationship Chris Brown had, first serious public relationship that Chris Brown had after Rihanna. And when she finally broke up with Chris Brown, I don't know if y'all remember, but she did an interview with Iyanla Vanzant on her Fix My Life show on OWN. And when she was talking to Iyanla about, her relationship and her experience with her very public relationship with Chris Brown, she was talking about how she slept with him like maybe 2-3 months, if that, after meeting him. And Iyanla was like, tell me, why would you do that? You really didn't know him. Like, why did you do that? And she was like, well, if I wouldn't have did it, somebody else would. And she was like, he was Chris Brown. That, what girls were really making him wait that long? And, if I would have waited any longer, he just would have got with somebody else. I mean, nobody else was making him wait that long, So that made me think about that interview with her. And that's very true. A lot of women feel pressured And I do feel like because DJ was in so much competition, she was so worried about, Jade Ramsey and Young Miami and, Gina and Lori Harvey and Jordan and all the other young women that Diddy was dating at the time, that, you know, she was just willing to sacrifice herself and her health, because she just wanted to be the last woman standing. She really wanted to be that main chick, his bottom B. And she was just willing to do whatever to try to prove to Diddy, why she should be the number one in his life. Really just competing with these women, and then turn around and would get upset when she would find out that the other girlfriends didn't have to do nearly as much of what she had to do. And so, that's another lesson about, playing yourself. As a woman, sometimes we get into these relationships with these men and we know that they're seeing other women, and we just feel like, what, game on. Yeah, I know he's seeing other women, but I'm the baddest. I'm the finest. My coochie is the tightest. It's the wettest. It's this. It's that. I'm educated. I'm smart. I've got this. I've got that. And I'm better than these women. I'm going to show him why. And it just never fails. We always end up playing ourselves in the end. And it's just unfortunate. So that's another lesson learned. But double tap the screen, y'all, to hit the like button. Please double tap the screen and hit the like button. If you're watching the replay, if you haven't liked that already, what are you waiting for? Please, down below, hit the like button and make sure you subscribe. If you know anybody who would like this content, who would enjoy this commentary, please share on all social media platforms. Also, we are doing a meet and greet Saturday, June 28th. So if you guys are interested in hanging out with me and FeeFee, my beautiful mother, on Saturday, June 28th, please email me at Sammie Nicole and FeeFee at gmail.com. Please email me at Sammie Nicole and FeeFee at gmail.com, and we'll send you the information to come hang out with us. Okay, just had to put that shameless plug in. Also, if you guys are not following us on Facebook, we just need what now we just need 360 more good players to follow us. So if you're on Facebook, please follow us. The link to our Facebook page is down in the description box. Thank you in advance. All right. Naturally Beauty 2 said DJ needs to go on and start that OnlyFans. Diddy didn't want her to start. What good, decent man is going to take her seriously now? Shaking her head. Yeah. And she started OnlyFans. She's doing OnlyFans. She was talking about how her homegirl, I think she said one of her friends had made like $14 million in a year. And so, I feel like she should, personally, it's pretty evident that DJ is not a 9 to 5 girly, right? She thinks she's too good, or maybe it's just not her ministry to work a 9 to 5. And hey, I'm not knocking no woman. If you don't want to work a 9 to 5, that's your prerogative. I get it. I get it. So I'm not mad at that. But you need to obviously figure out something, because when you're completely dependent on a man or completely dependent on just another person, they, usually give you their ass to kiss, and they usually will weaponize it and use it against you at some point down the line. It's just human nature. So, unfortunately, so I think it's always good to at least have something that you can call your own. But anyway, but yeah, she is doing OnlyFans now, and I feel like she should have been doing OnlyFans, So I know Diddy is still continuing to pay her rent, so hopefully she's continuing on and will continue on with her OnlyFans so that she can still maintain her lifestyle if and or when Diddy stops paying her rent. Especially if, God forbid, 50 ends up getting full custody, and then that ends her child support. Which I hope that doesn't happen, because I know she loves her baby. So we'll see. Miss Applepie said, great idea, Sammie. She's in therapy. She said for 3 months now, I think. Okay, good. Okay, I missed that part. Thank you. Okay, I'm here for the show. Said, doing all that, she should have the deed to the house, bump rent. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, what? She's been in that house that Denny's been renting for her for what, allegedly 2 years now. So by now, I mean, he really could have bought the house. I mean, he's still paying rent. Why not just buy the house for her? I think it's like a 2.2 or $2.3 million house that she lives in. That she's renting for $10K a month. 2 million ain't nothing to Diddy. I feel like once again that was Diddy being cheap, and that was Diddy lowballing her. And I definitely feel like, Diddy could have bought that house for her, put it in her name. I mean, even in the phone calls and text messages when they were arguing back and forth, Diddy was telling her, are you at home? Can I come over? Can I come to our house? Don't forget, it's my house too. That was another place where she messed up too. I'm here for the show. She should have definitely, for all that she was doing, I mean, taking 3 men in one night and rubbing his back afterwards and showering him afterwards and all that crazy foolishness. She definitely should have asked him, like, F renting, like you said, I'm here for the show. Buy me this $2.2 million house. That ain't nothing to you. You're a billionaire, and put the deed and everything in my name. Since you want to have the hotel nights over here, put it in my name. Because he, according to the testimony and the court documents, Diddy is paying her from, I think it's called Combs Enterprises. So that's one of his businesses. So he's paying her from his business account. So technically, from a business standpoint, she is like his employee, because that's where the money for her living fees, like her rent, is coming out of that business account. And if y'all have been following the story with Gina, at one point he was giving Gina $5,000 a month. If y'all been watching Tasha K, she reported on that, and he was paying Gina from Combs Enterprises, which is one of his business entities. So he literally had these girls on a payroll, and so you know I just wish she would have advocated for herself. I really, really do. I wish she would have advocated for herself. But let's see what else y'all are saying. My Ty said that interview was very good. You were correct. The stories mirrored each other. I was wondering if they could use the interview since Gina doesn't want to come to court. Yeah, I mean, from what I understand, they can't, based off of what attorney Simone said from Girl Is That Legal on YouTube. Shout out to her. But I mean, if they could find a way to use that interview that Gina did with Tasha K, it definitely would be a alley hoop, nothing but net for the prosecutor, for the prosecution, because that interview was intense. It was very intense, and a lot of the DV that Gina went through, it was very similar. Like you said, it mirrored what Cassie went through. But allegedly, Gina is not going to testify. They can't find her. Allegedly, word on the street is she made a deal with Diddy, and so that's why they can't find her to testify. And then also, Diddy's chief of staff, or chief of, yeah, I think she's chief of staff, KK. She will not be testifying either, and was one of the, like, big star witnesses who basically knows where the bodies are buried, allegedly. But she won't be taking the stand, and she also received an immunity deal. So I was really hoping to see her come on the stand, but doesn't look like we're gonna hear from KK, because she know all the tea. Let me see. I'm here for the show. Said I agree. She should lose custody. Yeah, it's just not looking good. And I know the reason. DJ, allegedly, she did not want to testify against Diddy. She did not want to do it. She wanted no parts. But because she is going through a really nasty custody battle with 50 Cent, it was advised to her that if she did, comply and go ahead and testify, that she would be seen as a victim in her custody case against 50 Cent, which would help her, as opposed to just, some woman willingly, doing these sexual deviant acts and just, going along with the debauchery. So that's another reason why she went ahead and decided to testify, because she'll be classified as an actual victim, which will hopefully, and it's assumed that it will help her case against 50, but we'll see. We know how 50 is, so she's in for a fight with him. Let me see. And Miss Apple Pie said, okay, for real, I'm here for the show. So Miss Apple Pie thinks she should lose custody too. How many other people think DJ should lose custody of her son? Y'all let me know in the chat. And if you're watching the replay, let me know too. Do you think that this, based on her testimony about her experience with Diddy, do you think this makes her come off as an unfit mother? My Ty says she should have a home for her and one for her parents because that was too many hours. At I'm here for the show. Yeah, yeah. My Ty said then she let him. Why stoop so low? I'm here for the show. Say Young Miami, come to the front. You nasty for money too. Yeah, but you know what? Young Miami say, yeah, I was nasty, but I was getting 6 figures a month in allowance. He helped me get my podcast up, my show, my TV show on Revolt. Carisha, please. He helped me with my card game. And he helped introduce me to the higher ups in the industry. So Young Miami, she don't feel like she a victim. I mean, I remember one interview she did talking about Diddy. She said that Diddy was her dream ninja. She said she prayed to God to meet a ninja like Diddy. She said Diddy was her dream ninja. So she felt like, she was the main girl. She was the top of the top, and he wasn't treating her like he was doing the other girls. I mean, y'all remember in the testimony, DJ was talking about how, when Diddy was attacking her after he got done, he had a woman on the phone, and the woman like was on speakerphone, was like verbally accosting her. I think allegedly it may have been Young Miami, because if y'all remember, Young Miami at one point was beefing with Gina on Twitter and Instagram. They were going back and forth. And Young Miami was, arguing with Gina and talking about, how you effing on a billionaire and you live in a house with carpet and blah, 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 blah. So, that's why if I had to, guess, I'm thinking it may have been Young Miami, because Young Miami knew about his women. And, Diddy said, after the whole Kim and Cassie situation, he said that he decided to be more upfront and honest with the women in his life and let them know if he was seeing other women, because he didn't want to hide anymore. You know what I mean? Because, his twin daughters with Kim and his baby girl with Sarah Chance, they're like months apart. They're basically like ghetto twins. They're months apart. So Sarah and Kim Porter were pregnant, around the same time. They got pregnant around the same time. So, Diddy said after that incident with Sarah and Kim, he said, you know what, I just want to be more transparent and just let the women know, like, hey, I'm seeing you and I'm seeing her as well, be more transparent. So, I definitely think, obviously, Young Miami knew that Diddy was dealing with other women. And I think, she probably was the one, cussing out DJ, just like she cussed out, Gina. And I feel like a lot of the women were very jealous of Young Miami, but I feel like, Young Miami, she didn't get nothing better. I mean, if anything, she helped Diddy more than he helped her. Now that I think about it, if you think about it, Young Miami, she was coming from City Girl. So she was young, popping, lit, and she was the one to help usher Diddy into the younger generation and help introduce him to, the Gen Zs, because they didn't know who Diddy was, those Gen Zs. I think the youngest generation that really was, old enough to remember Diddy is my generation, the millennials. So, Carisha really introduced him to the Gen Z so they knew who the hell he was and made him popping again. And so, like Diddy said, they had a really good business relationship. And, she was the, one of the few women that he was dealing with around that time that had money and who had, clout and had motion, as the young folks say. So, he was able to benefit more from her just outside of the bedroom. She had more benefits than what she was doing in the bedroom. So even though he's a trash dude and probably over time, he probably would have started doing Young Miami the same way. I think that's why maybe he, quote unquote, treated her better. And I'm putting that in quotes because he really wasn't treating nobody right, when you think of it. But I just think it was because of the business aspect. And two, Young Miami is from the hood. She from Miami. She'll fight. You know, her mama was in prison for like years. You know what I mean? So she come from the gutter. She come from nothing. She grew up in the hood in Miami. So she used to seeing men and women fight. So she don't have no problem fighting a ninja bag. I mean, she used to fight her baby daddy. So, I just think, and I hate to say it too, but I feel like sometimes men know who to try and who not to try. And I think that may have been an aspect of it too. But let me see what y'all saying. You get me said, it makes me uncomfortable how much she resembles Cassie in some of her IG pictures. IDK what it is, but something about Jane gives me single white female gone girl. Yeah, I definitely think that DJ, aka Jane, because we call them about her initials. I definitely think that she's insanely jealous. I mean, whether it was Gina or Young Miami, and it seems like she was really, really jealous of Young Miami the most because he was seen more publicly with Young Miami, right? And he was seen taking Young Miami on shopping sprees at Chanel and Louis Vuitton, and he was seen in Turks and Caicos with Young Miami, and that was a big thing to DJ. She was always crying about why I can't go to Turks and Caicos, why you ain't took me yet, and why you buying me a Bottega bag, but you buying Young Miami a Chanel bag? I mean, Bottega bags are only 1,500. She was mad about that, which was petty. So yeah, I definitely think she cray cray. I do. I think that DJ is crazy, and I think that she's immature and she lacks a lot of emotional intelligence. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying that she deserved what happened to her. It was wrong. I definitely think that she needed to be compensated because taking 3 BBCs in one night is just diabolical. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. She did a lot of work for that dude. She did willingly. And I just hate that she shortchanged herself. But I'm here for the show. Said y'all, I am just saying. Remember when Young Miami was acting all big and bad until he had a baby on her? She thought she was his bottom bitch. Yes, she was definitely, as the young folks say. I'm here for the show. She was popping her ish. She was. She was popping her ish. She felt like I said. She said in the interview, she was like, Diddy is my dream guy. Like, this is my dream ninja. I prayed for a ninja like this. So she definitely felt like, that was like she was that girl. I hooked one of the richest ninjas in the industry. I'm that girl. And yeah, she did get quiet when he had that baby. Yeah, she did. And then she was really hurt too. Do y'all remember when pictures came out with Diddy and Bow Wow's baby mama, Joy? And she's also Bow Wow's baby mama and Future's baby mama. And Carisha was upset about that too when the pictures came out of Joy on a yacht hugged up and straddling Diddy. So, that's why I say he really didn't treat her any better because he played in her face and embarrassed her too. He did. My Ty said she had me in a chokehold, hold at rubbing his feet. Yeah, yeah. She would do the hotel stays, cry, go through all of that, and then shower with him and tuck him in the bed and kiss him and rub his feet. Hey Toya Boo, what's up? It was just a lot. It was just a lot. My side said, I wonder what he said or did to get KK. I don't know, but KK is not testifying. She's not. So I wonder what happened too. I would love to know what happened. Because that was the witness that I was really waiting on, KK, and I was waiting to see if there was going to be a security guard that was going a security person, yeah, or bodyguard that was going to take the stand. So we'll see. My Ty said Young Miami got her bag. Yeah, she did. She did. Miss Apple Pie said, I also think that was young. I think that was Young Miami also, Sammy. Okay. Toya said Miami wanted money and she got it. She did. Yeah, she did. Yes, y'all. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy this commentary, please hit the like button, like. And if you know anybody that will also like the commentary, please share. Miss Applepie said Diddy was getting money off of everything he did for Young Miami. Yeah, because she had the Carisha Please show, and that was on Revolt. Yeah, that's true. That's why he was like, and he was he was using my young Miami, right? Just like she was using him. She helped introduce him to Gen Z. You know, he's doing the podcast, and she had the card game, Carisha Please, and the merchandise that he was helping to fund. And he was also able to use my young Miami to make his other women jealous, like i.e. DJ. Let me see. She Miss Applepie said he was giving her money that she earned. Diddy is slick. Pretty much. Pretty much. She basically, all the money he spent on her, he made it back, essentially. He did invest a lot of money into Young Miami, but he pretty much made it back. So yeah. Hey, Mary Mills. Toya said, where is Fee? I know I'm like, child, she out doing her. I say the show gotta go on, honey. I say the show gotta go on. She out doing her, Toy. She'll be back probably on Thursday, child. You know how she do. But he definitely made the money back off of Carisha. He did. But going back to this DV, like, I know we talked about it earlier in the show, but what did y'all think when y'all heard that DJ, she was the one to initiate the DV and the relationship with Diddy? Now, I'm not gonna lie. When I heard that DJ pushed and slammed Diddy head into a marble counter, it was very satisfying. I know violence is not right, and a man shouldn't put his hands on a woman, and a woman shouldn't put his hand on a man. I think everybody should keep their hands to themselves, but just given Diddy's track record, I feel like good for his ass, allegedly, because he had been, allegedly abusing almost every other woman that he's been in a relationship with. And, finally another situation where he's getting it back. Now, I know allegedly when he used to fight Kim Porter, she would fight him back, and she cut him one time, and he still has a scar from that incident. But it just kind of made me feel like, okay, that's what he get. Push his ass into the marble counter again. You know, I would have pushed him, and then if I would have grabbed the closest thing to me and bopped him in the head. I know she was throwing candles and everything else at him, and I hate that the candle didn't light his butt up. Allegedly, we don't condone violence over here, but I was like, good for his ass, good for his ass. And I hate to say it, but when you dealing with men like that, you you have to meet violence with violence, because that's the only way they kind of get it through their skull. I hate to say that. When you try to talk talk and reason with them, and use rationale with them on why it's wrong to put their hands on the woman, it just doesn't go through. They know it's wrong to put their hands on a woman, but they don't care. And so you have to meet them where they are and get with them, and put the fear of God in them for them to back up and retreat. So I'm glad she slammed his head into the marble counter. Now, do I think that was real dangerous? Because she did that after the tapes came out of him physically abusing Cassie. So I think that was very bold, very, very bold of her. You slam his head into a marble counter, after, the video of him abusing Cassie goes viral and is displayed in front of the whole world. I thought that was very, very bold. Do I think that that was the smartest thing to do? Probably not. But, I still feel like, hell, that's what he get. That's what he get. But that was very bold of DJ to do that. What did y'all think about that? Would y'all have done something like that if you were in her shoes? I mean, he hadn't put his hands on her yet at that point, and she only slammed his head into the marble counter because she was mad about him talking to other women and whining and dining other women and spending quality time with them. Whereas with her, the time that they spent together mostly consists of her doing hotel nights. So she was angry, frustrated, and jealous, despite him telling her from the very beginning, you are on the roster. You are one of the women, but you are not the only woman in my life. So what did y'all think about that? I personally feel like I don't think she should have got that upset. I don't. I don't. Because he told you what it was from the beginning. But what do y'all think? Miss Applepie says she did that because she found out about the girl under 21 years old, right? Yeah. She found out that he was on vacation with the girl that was under 21. She said she was under 21, but she was over 18. And she called him a pedo. And they argued, and that's when she slammed his head into the marble counter. And he came after her, and she throwing candles and yelling and screaming, and he yelling and screaming and calling her crazy. I mean, but he told her what it was from the beginning. So I still don't understand why she got so upset. But again, going back to my point, she's insanely jealous. And so I'm assuming she got triggered because initially she said when he told her, "Hey, I'm going to be dating multiple women outside of you," she said in her testimony that she was in agreement with it. She was like, "Okay, that's fine." So I'm assuming because the girl was so young, that's what pissed her off, and she felt like, "Okay, I can't compete. This girl is 25 years younger. I can't compete with that, with the youth." So maybe that's what it was that triggered her. But I'm like, if you knew what it was, why were you angry? But I'm assuming it's because of the girl's age. Toya said, "I'm not going to fight a man, then stay with him. If it's to the point where I have to put my hands on you, I'm leaving." Yeah. Yeah. I think once it starts getting physical in a relationship, it's pretty much going downhill. You pretty much opening up Pandora's box. It's going downhill. Yeah. I think if it's getting to the point where y'all want to start putting hands, you probably should go ahead and separate. Probably should. Yeah. Because typically the abuse doesn't stop. My Ty said, as long as he didn't put hands on me, I wouldn't put hands on him. Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think everybody should keep their hands to themselves. I guess just the fact that the girl was under 21, that triggered her, and she felt like another bitch I gotta compete with. I don't know, but I don't think she should have did that, and I think that was a huge risk, especially when she testified that she was actually with him at the time that the Cassie video was released. She was with him. Mary Mills said the women he dates don't command respect, and he gets away with it because they need something from him. Yeah, yeah. And I definitely think he has a type of woman, that he goes for. I definitely think he seeks out beautiful women who lack self-esteem, who lack self-worth, who lack knowledge of self, and who operate from a place of desperation, insecurity, and jealousy. And DJ fits that profile, just like Cassie did, just like Gina did. Yeah, yeah. But I just think that was bold for her to put her hands on him. Very, very bold after watching that video with Cassie. And then he chases her around the house and chokes her out, you know. And then she got away, then came back to the house. And just a mess. Just a mess. And then once all that was done, she does another hotel night. It's just crazy. It's a lot to wrap your head around. Miss Applepie said, yes, he loves that Asian look as well. Yeah, he does. Yep. His son's mother, Justin, his oldest son, she's Japanese and black. So yeah, he does like that look. Toya said it's obvious that he prefers women that are young and have low self-esteem and have come from poverty. Yeah, it's definitely a control thing for sure. Yeah, he definitely prefers that. Um, do you think that DJ admitting to initiating DV in their relationship, do you think that hurts the prosecution? I think it will kind of hurt it. I do, personally. What do y'all think? I also think that 50 Cent and his lawyers are going to have a field day with this testimony, because now he can try to argue, even though when she goes to court with him, she'll be seen as a victim on paper from a legal standpoint. I just can't I just cannot see 50 Cent using this to his advantage and arguing that, she's mentally and emotionally unstable and that she's violent. 50 Cent plays dirty, and I just can't imagine him not throwing that up in her face during their custody battle when they go to court. Like, oh, she has a history of being violent, being unstable. Look at how she handles things. Allegedly, some of this stuff was going down in the same house where our baby lays his head at, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I just think that it makes her look unstable. It does. It does. And I'm not saying that she didn't have the right to be at her wits' end. You know what I mean? But to me, I just feel like there were a lot of moments where DJ could have taken accountability and she failed to do so. And I know she kept using the excuse that she just loved Diddy so much. And I'm like, child, his ass ain't even all of that. And from what I hear, he got a doggone Tootsie Roll in between his legs. So I'm like, child. But, like Deion Sanders say, it must be the money. Must be the money. It's gotta be. Because I'm like, he ain't even all of that, girl. He ain't. And then if you remember, if y'all watched the interview that Gina did with Tasha K, and y'all, recall Cassie's testimony, both of these women said when they first met Diddy, they weren't even attracted to him like that. They didn't like him like that. And I think DJ may have alluded to that in her initial testimony. So I just think that's another thing too, how sometimes as women we get into these relationships with men we don't even like them like that. We don't even be feeling them like that, but we go against our intuition or our feelings and we pursue a relationship with them anyway. And then, sometimes you end up going through a bunch of bull crap with somebody you didn't even really like that. And it's like, damn, like I wasn't even feeling you like that. And now I'm going through this mess with you. Like this was not even worth it. I should have just listened to my first mind and just stuck to my boundaries and not fooled with you in the first place, because it wasn't worth it. And I just wonder, if Gina and Cassie have any regret about, I'm sure they do, dealing with Diddy, because they both testified that they were not attracted to Diddy when they first met him. They weren't feeling him. But over time, he grew on them. And we know that he has a history of love bombing and being charming. And, he has money, so he knows how to woo a woman and use his resources to his advantage. But I just think that's another lesson, too, in this cautionary tale for women. If you don't like a ninja like that, and you really feel strongly like, I don't know what it is, I'm just not feeling him, I just don't like him, whether it's based off of his physical appearance or maybe you just feel something intuitively, whether it's his personality or his energy, follow your first mind. Follow your first mind. And I feel like, personally, I tell this to my mama all the time. I feel like when you dealing with a man, you gonna put up with something. And it don't necessarily have to be anything traumatic, like I said earlier in the show, like abuse or infidelity or anything like that. It could just be maybe you keep telling this ninja to put the toilet seat down after you get done peeing. And for whatever reason, he just cannot seem to do it. So when you wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, you always end up falling in the toilet because he just cannot remember to put the toilet seat down. Or maybe he snores in his sleep and he refuses to, acknowledge the fact he has sleep apnea and get fitted for one of those masks so he can sleep better at night, something like that. So I just say that to say, you always gonna put up with something, right? So hell, you might as well get what you actually want. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna put up with something. So you might as well get what you want. And vice versa for men. I mean, men put up with stuff when they're dealing with us. Or, if you're in a same sex relationship, you can apply it. You're going to put up with something with the person you're dealing with, and like I said, it doesn't have to be anything as severe, like, abuse or anything like that, but you're going to put up with something, just like they're going to put up with something when they're dealing with you. So you might as well get what you want. And what I mean by get what you want, get somebody that you like, that you're attracted to, you know for all this crap that Gina, Cassie, and DJ done been through with Diddy. Hell, they could have just went with somebody that they actually liked. And who knows? Maybe it would have turned out better. Maybe not. But go get what you want. If you're going to put up with something, just get what you want. And I had to learn that personally, because I've been in situations where, and this is me being vulnerable, where I felt like, I felt the pressure of people saying that as Black women, we don't know how to give a man a chance. We say we want a good man, but when we meet a good man, we don't want to give him a chance because he might be a little bit ugly, or he might be a little nerdy, or he might be a little bit boring, and we just overlook him instead of giving him a chance. So I've been in situations where I felt that pressure, because I've heard people say that so much about Black women, where I have dated men who, I wasn't attracted to, but I felt like, oh, well, they're a good guy, so let me give them the chance. I don't want to be that Black woman that's always complaining about not being able to find a good Black man, and then here this decent Black man who's interested in me, and I'm not at least giving him a chance. So let me give him a chance. And it never fails. Every time I date somebody that I'm not really feeling like that, but they seem like a nice guy or a good guy, it never works out. It's always something that ends up happening. It never fails. So I'm at a point in my life where, I told myself, I said, if I'm gonna be dealing with somebody, I'm gonna be dealing with somebody I actually like. I'm not saying that because you're with somebody you're attracted to or that you like, that you should just tolerate any old thing. Let me be very clear about that. You should always have your boundaries in place. You should always have your standards, set, and you should always have your things that are your non-negotiables in place and be aware of, and clearly articulate that to the person, or make sure you just stand on business, period, whether you want to share it with them or not. But I'm saying it taught me to just go for what I actually want and not settle, you know, because it's never going to be perfect. So I just say that to say, that's a lesson that I had to learn. Go for what you actually want. Don't worry about somebody telling you because you're a Black woman, you need to get a nice guy a chance. And I hate that. I hate that shit, because just because somebody, excuse my language, just because somebody is a nice guy doesn't mean they're going to be the right guy for you. And I really wish we would talk about that more, instead of constantly just trying to guilt Black women to feel like, oh, well, the pickings are slim for you all as Black women, so just take what you can get. If there's a nice guy that's interested in you, just go for him, because the dating options are so limited for you Black women. So stop being so picky. And if a decent brother is interested in you, why wouldn't you give him a chance? See, that's what's wrong with you Black women. You don't know a good man when you see one. All that bull crap that they tell us to settle, but they don't kick that crap to the white women or the Asian women or nobody else. And they men be beating their ass and cheating on them and dogging them out just like everybody else. We ain't gonna talk about that. But I'm just saying that's a lesson that I learned, because I once, you know, fell victim to that. Oh, let me not be that picky Black woman that doesn't want to give a good Black man a chance. And then, people are looking at me like, oh, that's why you don't have a man, because you don't give good Black men a chance. You need to step out of your comfort zone and try a different type of man. You never know, it might work out. Just because you're not attracted to him, or you don't feel this or you don't feel that, it might work out. Stop limiting yourself. That's wrong. That's what's wrong with you Black women. That's why you single. No, don't listen to that. That's a lie. That's a lie. Go get what you want, y'all. Go get what you want, ladies. Go get what you want, fellas, because it's always going to be something you're going to deal with. And like I said, don't have to be nothing as harsh as cheating or abuse. Nothing, nothing life threatening. But just go get what you want, because it's always going to be something. So that's what I had to learn the hard way. Let me go get what I want. Natasha made a good point She said it's the man you don't like that causes the most problem. Yep, that's true. Yes, Natasha. It be the ninja you really don't be feeling. You really be like, you really like ugly. I really don't want to hug and kiss you. And that's another reason why I say, y'all, don't date nobody you're not interested in, that you're not attracted to. Don't do it. Because a lot of times these men, they be wanting to hug and kiss on you and rub on you, especially if you got nice, pretty, soft skin. And it's just like, ugh, ugh. I remember one time I went out with my girls and we were at some spot. We live in Atlanta. So if you don't know, there's a joke in Atlanta about rich Africans. And we just happened to be out at this lounge and we ran into said rich Africans. And we ended up like, kind of like lounge hopping, going to different restaurants in Buckhead. And of course, they pay for everything. We're very generous, very, gentleman like. And it was one who, was really interested in me. And he was just, trying to talk to me and trying to, rub on my thigh. My nose was just like, about to throw up, like, gross, So I just say that to say, don't date what you're not attracted to, what you're not interested in. Because these men, they be want to touch on you and rub on you. And it's like, get off of me. Do not touch me. Gross. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. That's why I'm like, I don't know how these girls do it. Be laying down with men they don't like. No wonder why they have to drink and take drugs. Now I understand why the strippers have to be drunk in order to dance, because you just around energies, and a lot of times you're around gross men that you're not interested in, who are just gross, and you just need to be intoxicated just to make it through, which is sad and unhealthy. That's a topic for another day. But I just get it now. I'm just saying that to say. But let me get back on topic, y'all. Natasha said, Black men don't give us a chance. Bridget said, listen, I will never do it again. Don't do it again, sis. I'm telling you, don't do it. And I do feel like, to your point, Natasha, I feel like they judge us really harsh. I feel like sometimes, not all Black men, so the Black men who are watching this, I'm not saying all, so don't be cutting the fool in my comments. But I just feel like sometimes Black men don't give us enough grace. I feel like they don't give us enough grace with that. They're so, harsh about us having standards, and so critical of us. And I just feel like they should give us more grace just based off of what we go through as women. I just feel like they don't give us enough grace. I don't. And I feel like we're more understanding of them than they are understanding of us a lot of times. Natasha said, them African men be so touchy-feely. Girl, Natasha, what you said, you ain't told no lie. No, ma'am. Them African men be wanting to rub on you and be all in your face. And that's just men, period. But they definitely be touchy. And if you looking like a gargoyle in the face and you in my face and trying to rub on me, it's like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And they love to be all up in your personal space, Love it. I mean, I've had some men, I don't know what it is, but they just love to be all up in the space. And I've had some of them, breath smell like shit. And I be like looking, digging in my purse, trying to give him a peppermint or something, or find a way to exit the conversation. So I just say get what you want, because it's a lot when you have an MF in your face that you're not feeling and want to touch on you and rub on you. It's like, ugh, gross. Like, don't touch me. Don't touch me. And I be quick to move a hand. I'm real strict about my boundaries. I don't want you touching me. I'm gonna move that hand so you don't touch me. That breath smell like shit. I'm not gonna be in your face much longer. If I can't dig and be slick about it and put a peppermint in my mouth, then give you one, I gotta go. I can't do it. I can't do it, y'all. So that's why I say get what you want, because they be all in your face, want to rub on you. And another argument I have for my stance on get what you want. Hey, Queen Lily, thank you. What's up? Another reason, how you doing, Queen Lily? Shout out to Queen Lily. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Thank you. Another reason why I say you need to be adamant about what you want is because, men, they're very adamant about what they want and what they're attracted to. And the only time men really date women that they're not attracted to is, if they're down on their luck financially and that woman has some resources, or if they're not down on their luck and that woman just has resources, she has money, or she has connections, or she's willing to make him the epicenter of her life. That's usually the only time men make an exception and date women they're not attracted to, unless you're taking care of them or they're able to use you for your connection and your resources, you know, for your skill set. If it's not one of those, they not effing with no woman they don't like. They're getting what they like. And so that's another reason why I encourage women to go get what you want. Go get what you want, because they're going to get what they want. Or at least they're going to try. They're going to try. They may not be able to get her, but they're going to try to get what they want. So why not us do the same? Let me see. Natasha said, men be looking like Bruce and want you to be Zendaya. Girl, that's how that African was looking. Girl, yes. Be looking like Bruce. And y'all, this between me and y'all. Don't repeat this, but I got some tea about that African. So about said African that, me and my homegirls, we was hanging out with him and his homeboys and, just going to different places around Buckhead that night, just having fun, right? Kicking it. That's all it was. We kicked it with and then we went home. We got our free drinks and food and dinner and appetizers and, hookahs. My friends smoke hookah. I don't, but they got theirs. We had a good time. So here's some tea about the African. How about the African, the one that was all up in my face that was interested in me? He was telling me how he used to mess with Yandy Smith from Love and Hip Hop while Mendices was locked up, y'all. The African that was in my face told me that he used to mess with Yandy Smith from Love and Hip Hop while her man Mendices was locked up. He was the African, he owned a car dealership here in Atlanta. And Mendices and Yandy, they've been in Atlanta for a few years now. Basically, once he got out, they pretty much relocated here to Atlanta. And he was talking about how, Yandy was a good woman. She's a smart businesswoman. And, he wanted to be with her, but, she was still stuck on Mendices. And she pretty much told him, like, once my man gets out, I'm not going to be fooling with you like that. And he was just basically saying, like, Mendices doesn't deserve a woman like her. Like, she's a really good woman. And we talking about Mendices, and y'all tell me 10 minutes later, we see Mendices in the spot that we in with another woman. Atlanta is not a real place. Y'all, you see so much shit in Atlanta, especially if like the hot spots to go to where everybody frequents. You see everybody. Tell me why, after he got done telling me that he used to mess with Yandy, a few minutes later, Mendices walks in with another woman. And you know me, I'm shady. And so I see Mendices walk by me, and I was like, "Hey, Mendices." And me and the African, we were kind of like standing by, like we were sitting like by the bar area. So he saw the African, but he didn't say anything. But he did speak to me, and I was like, "Hey, Mendices," and he was like, "Hey." But you could tell, like when I said hey to him, he was kind of like, "Oh shit," like this is obviously somebody that recognizes me, like, and I'm just trying to be low key with this young lady, but I don't, I still want to say hey, but it's kind of like, like how you feel like you somewhere and you want to be low key, but like somebody is acknowledging you, kind of like blowing up the spot a little bit, like, oh, okay. And so this was back in May of 2024. So for the girlies that live in Atlanta, we knew that the Mendices tea was true. Allegedly. Everything I say is allegedly. So, for those of us who live in Atlanta that like to go out to the hot spots, when the tea about Mendices hit the blogs, it was like, duh. Everybody who live in Atlanta and goes out to the popping spots in Atlanta. If you know, Queen Lily, you know what I'm talking about. The different hot spots in Atlanta. You already knew this tea. It was old. So, you knew that people weren't lying about Mendices. So basically, Yandy was doing her thing, and yes, Mendices was doing his thing. That's another reason why it's good to stay out of married people business. But that was just some Atlanta tea for y'all. And Mendices has very great taste. And I'll leave it at that. All right. Like I said, Atlanta is not a real place, y'all. They be doing a lot in Atlanta. You see a lot of ish go down. Allegedly. But anyway, okay, going back to DJ and Diddy. Let me see. Jay Blake said, "Why is he bringing that up to a woman he is interested in?" I don't know, but I appreciate that tea though. And I felt like I was really gagging when Mendices walked in a few minutes later with a young lady. I mean, who knows? Maybe the young lady was his cousin. Wink, wink. I don't know, but she's a beautiful young lady. But the tea was popping hot, Jay Blake. I don't know why he told me that tea, but the way Mendices was looking at him when he walked in, because he walked past the both of us, and that's when I had the chance to be like, "Hey, Mendices," me being shady. But he spoke to me, but when he was looking at the African, he was like looking at him like, when you see somebody you don't f with. So to me, that made me believe like, okay, maybe this African is telling the truth just based off of the body language, But I appreciate that tea. That was some piping hot tea that I got for free 99. This was back last year, last May. So it be going down at ATL, y'all. ATL, Atlanta is not a real place, but yes, okay. Moving along. What else did I want to talk to y'all about with this Diddy thing? I had some notes. Let me see. Okay. So let me ask y'all this in the chat. So basically, the whole reason why they have, DJ on the stand, they want to really kind of like firm up the X trafficking charge. To me, I don't know. I just don't quite see it for DJ. I just don't. If y'all think that she does, her testimony help support the X trafficking, can y'all let me know in the chat? Like, what do you think? I'm still having a hard time connecting the dots because to me, DJ just seems like a woman that got shortchanged, and she was in a relationship. She thought she was in a relationship with a billionaire, but she really wasn't. She was really an ex worker to him, and I could see the manipulation part. You know what I mean? Making her think that it was something more than what it was, but with her admitting to calling some of the ex-workers that she performed with during the hotel nights, and helping to set up the room and going to buy the outfits and stuff, and helping with the payment. I just don't know. I'm just having a hard time seeing it. And even with the DV situation, she initiated it. I'm not saying she deserved it. No woman deserves to have a man put his hands on her. Let's be very, 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 very clear about that. But she was the aggressor in that, so it's just hard. I just see her as a woman that was in a fucked up situation. She shortchanged herself. She made poor decisions. And, she thought she was going to get more than what she actually got out of the situation. Like, basically what I'm trying to articulate is I see her as a woman that played herself. She thought she was going to make a come up, messing with Diddy and get her lit back at 50. And she just played herself. But what do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Bridget said maybe the drug aspect. Okay. I can see that because he would say, hey, take this pill. Take this pill. And then she ended up telling him, well, actually, wine gets me turned on. And he was like, oh, okay, well, you don't have to take the pill. You can just drink wine. I'm just trying to figure out the other stuff. Let me see. You get me said, I don't know how she thought that when he repeatedly said he was single. Right. My Ty said, well, he paid money for the guys to go to different states to have sex with her. Okay. 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 That makes sense. I guess I don't know. It's just hard to, if anything, I feel like she's a victim of being underpaid, like, I feel like it's more like it's civil. Who I sound like, y'all? I just feel like it's more, it's civil. I just feel like it's civil. It's a civil thing, like I feel like she's a victim of being underpaid, she's underpaid. It's civil. It's civil. Right. My side said, okay, ponytail, right. Who I sound like? It's civil. It's civil. That's what I feel like. I feel like she's a victim of being underpaid because she worked hard. Now, I'm not going to take that away from DJ. DJ worked hard for that 10K. She earned every single penny of that money, of the monies that he would give her. And I feel like she was underpaid. I still stand on the fact he could give her at least a cool $1 million. Because she worked. She worked. And I can understand her being pissed off. Even though she, she went along with it at times and she even set it up, called the different entertainers and the outfits and helped with the room and stuff, the setup, the prepping. I just think that if anything is wrong, she was severely underpaid. And I know y'all gonna say, well, she agreed to the amount. She did. But I think if that's the crime, it's civil. That's the crime. He need to pay that girl. And for her to say that she was having UTIs and soreness and pain, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And I don't want to victim blame, but I'm like, DJ, why didn't you tell this man stop it? I'm sore. No. I just don't know. I guess he just got in her head, y'all. I don't know. I just pray may none of us ever find ourselves in that situation. But when she said she was having UTIs repeatedly, having UTIs and was very extremely sore, I was just like, and you texted him and tell him you that you're in agreement to do it again? I'm just like, what? I mean, a lot of us on here are women. So if you haven't had a UTI, which are very, very common, you probably know somebody who's had, a UTI and yeast infections and how uncomfortable. I'm just like, what? That's crazy. My side said, you not fixing to pound this for hours, not for no 10,000. I know that's right. And that was another thing that pissed me off. She agreed to the 10K to do all of that. I'm just like, were you just excited to be in his presence? And that's what I was kind of thinking about too. Like, maybe she was just so excited to get her lit back at 50 Cent because he has just been awful to her. He's really been bullying the hell out of her since they fell out. And so I'm like, were you just anxious and that hyped to get your lick back at your baby daddy and to be effing with Diddy that you was just okay, okay, 10K, okay. Why? And then turn around and get mad when you find out he's giving more to other women. Like that, I feel like she got to take accountability for. Like she has to take accountability for that. You have to, DJ. Toya said the testimony didn't share her in a good light as a victim. It didn't. It didn't. And then especially when the testimony came out that prior to her getting with Diddy, she was paying her own rent. And so they were basically trying to say, well, there were times where you weren't with Diddy, and then there were times, times where you weren't with him, where you weren't doing the hotel nights and you were still paying your rent. So what do you mean you were continuing to do the hotel nights because you were scared he wasn't going to pay your rent anymore? You were still able to pay it. So, you know, that, and then on top of the rest of her testimony, she doesn't look like the perfect victim. She doesn't. It's tough. And I'm just thinking about the jurors, the jury. How are they looking at her? Like, are they just looking at her like this gold digger that got played, got outsmarted, and now she's just mad and scorned? You know what I mean? Or do they really feel like, wow, like this is an innocent woman, this is a victim who didn't want any of this, and it's just awful what happened to her. If I could be a fly on the wall in that room when the jurors are discussing the case, I would love to be. So I'd be very curious to know what they think, but I have to wait. Toya, let me see. I read that. Natasha said, "Don't worry, none of us in this chat gonna get in that situation. We got jobs, right, right." You get me said, "What kind of cute nickname is Crackpot? He would have paid more just for that, right, 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 baby. He would have got charged for everything fooling with me, baby. Every phone call, every text message, I would have been on that line like, I need my baby, I need." Ain't no way in hell I'm and on a billionaire and opening up 3 credit cards to furnish my house. I wish I would. Baby, what I need a credit card for? The billionaire is my credit card, okay? Like, what is going on? My side said then had to have X with UTIs. Yes. And then when she was telling the story how when she was doing the trilogy, I call it trilogy, when she was dealing with the different men, different sessions, and she threw up in during one of the sessions, and he was like, "Good, you've thrown up. Now you'll feel better. You can keep going." I'm like, girl, I mean, what what was going to be the final straw? Like, what was going to be the final straw? And I feel like, with her saying she was with him up until his arrest last year, that makes me think, and allegedly they were getting ready to do another hotel night during the time of his arrest. Had he not got arrested, they would have went through with another hotel night. That makes me think that would she continue to do these hotel nights had he not been arrested? I think so, allegedly. So that's another thing that would be in the back of my mind, if I was a juror, like, okay, this ninja is still paying for her attorney fees. He's still paying her rent. And she was allegedly with him during the time of his arrest last year. And they were allegedly getting ready to do another hotel night. So had he not got arrested, she would still be going along with this. So that would be another, reason why I'd be kind of looking at her sideways, like, I don't know. It's so complex, her testimony. It's all over the place to me. It's just all over the place. Natasha said DJ is slow. She would have done better just gone on and getting a job at Burger King. At least she would have had health insurance. Yeah. Or she just could have we know she ain't gonna do that. So she just could have went harder with the OnlyFans, which I think that's what she's doing now. But hell, she just could have did OnlyFans. And I know she said when she initially thought about doing OnlyFans, Diddy told her that, that's not what his girls do. That's not what his woman does. But child, I would have said, I'm not your wife. You don't have nothing in place for me. You keep telling me I'm single. Let me go ahead and do this OnlyFans. I would have been on it because that's the type of lifestyle she's accustomed to. That's the type of mentality that she has. You get me said they were still doing FOs after Cassie's lawsuit and the raise. Right. She should have petitioned the court for more child support. Yeah. 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 So I'll also be very interested in seeing how her custody case goes with 50 because she's unfortunately, y'all, she's given 50 a lot of ammunition to use against her. I'm not saying that what she went through wasn't horrific and that it wasn't wrong because it was wrong, but I do think in a lot of ways she was complicit, and I do think that there is a certain weight of accountability that she has to carry and answer to. I do. We're not talking about an 18, 19-year-old woman. We're talking about a woman in her early to mid 30s, you know? And hopefully this experience with Diddy has been an eye opener for her. I know she says she gravitates towards providers. So she'll be with the next rich black man in no time if she's not already, but hopefully she'll ask for a little bit more money up front, whoever the next rich black man that she gets with. um I don't know, but I definitely think she's giving 50 Cent a lot of ammunition to use against her, and I'm really worried about that because I do know she loves her son. I do know she loves her little boy. She does love her baby. So I just I just wish her the best with that custody. My heart goes out to her with that custody case because 50 Cent is a mother. He is. He is. And with this testimony, it makes her look unstable. It makes her look immature. It makes her look childish, like throwing fits over Carisha. And Diddy is not even your man like that. You just the woman he do hotel stays with. He not even taking you seriously. And you crashing out over somebody that thinks of you as nothing more than an ex blow up doll, that's crazy. So I definitely think it plays into her lack of being able to rationalize things and see things for what they are, which 50 Cent could definitely use against her. And, her talking about how she basically, you know, wanted to basically give up on herself and she was at her wits' end from dealing with, Diddy and the way he was treating her, it just makes it seem like the baby has an unfit, unstable mother in some regard. You know what I mean? And I know we go through things as moms, and I don't want that to be used against us as women. Women go through postpartum depression, anxiety, all that stuff. But I just feel like for her to be crashing out over this sexual deviant, billionaire or not, it's just crazy. Especially knowing that you have a baby and you doing some of these acts in the same home that your baby lays his head in. It just doesn't look right, and it shows that she makes poor decisions and that she doesn't know how to enforce boundaries, and that she can be bought. So I don't know. And then her taking the drugs, 50 Cent would definitely use that against her. So I don't know. But I just wish her the best with the baby. I'm going to keep saying that. I wish her the best with her child. I'm glad she's in therapy, so she can get herself together. Because, she got to think about her son, and I mean, I didn't even think about the fact. It's just coming to me. What is her son going to think, once he reads about his mom, as he's getting older? I think her son may be like 10, 11. Like he's getting into his tween years, like middle school years. And they have cell phones in middle school. So I wonder, how is this going to impact her son? And when he reads all this stuff about his mom and all the different things that she's done and she's been through, how is she going to explain that to her son? How is she going to break that down to him? I'd be very curious to see how that conversation goes, and Maybe she's talking it through with her therapist on how she's going to handle those conversations, because I would love to know how she's going to handle it and what type of mental and emotional impact, if any, does it have on her son, with kids coming up to school and talking to him about his mom and stuff and what she's done, how is that going to impact him, and how will 50 Cent use that to his advantage? Let me see. Natasha said anybody who would have a kid with 50 Cent after they see the way he treats his oldest son is done. Yeah. And like I said in the last show, I feel like Natasha, the reason DJ, excuse me, the reason DJ did that was because she felt like, she's this beautiful, exotic Philippine, exotic woman, and she felt like she was the exception to the rule. She felt like, I'm this beautiful exotic woman. He's not gonna treat me like he did that black woman. I'm the preference. I'm a step up. I see how black men treat black women and how they view black women. I'm not a black woman. I'm exotic. I'm soft. I'm feminine. I have long, straight hair coming out of my head. So he'll treat me better. And I really think that DJ went into that situation full of her ego, thinking that she would be the exception to the rule. And her ass found out that, babes, you get the same black man that we get. And so I think that was yet another example of her playing herself, being caught up in her ego, feeling like it would be a different situation for her. That because she's the preference, she's surprised that there's no way he would mistreat her. I really think she went into that situation full of herself, full of her ego, and thinking that I'm not like you black bitches. Excuse my French. I'm not like you black bees. You guys are single mothers. You guys are disregarded. He won't disregard me. It's different for me. You black women don't know how to act. You know, I don't care what the black woman went through. It'll be different for me. I really think that. And a lot of them think that way about us. A lot of these exotic women that date these black men, they do believe that they are better than us. They feel like we are ghetto, ignorant, overweight, unattractive, aggressive, masculine women who don't know how to be soft, who don't know how to treat our black men and how to be women to our black men. And so, our black men don't have any choice but to seek them out because they are better women than us. A lot of them think that way. A lot of them do. Now, they won't come out and admit it, but a lot of them, these non-black women that date black men, they feel like they are better than us. And so they just don't think that they're going to get disrespected and be used and abused and made single mothers like us. They feel like that poor treatment is only reserved for us as black women, not for them. That's not their life. Okay, what Shirley Strawberry say? That's not my life. Being abused, being single mothers, that's not their ministry. That's only reserved for us as black women. Only us as black women struggle and get abandoned and left by ourselves, not them. So when they have a rude awakening and they realize that, nah, bitch, you can get mistreated too, it's like a shock to their system and they can't process it. Whereas with us, we like, a ninja gonna ninja, a nig gonna nig, what's new, what's new. Not to say that every black man acts like that, because I know that they don't. I'm very aware that there are good black men out there. Shout out to all the good black men out there, but I'm just trying to explain to you all how a lot of these non-black women that pursue and date black men think. And I'll give these non-black women grace. A lot of these black men hype their heads up and make them think that they're going to treat them better. So black men play a role in it too, but they end up doing the antithesis of that and not treating them well. But they do hype them up and make them feel like, you're on a higher pedestal than the black woman. I'm going to treat you better. I value you more. And then they turn around and treat them the same way, if not worse. So I hope that that's another cautionary tale for all of the non-black women that like to date these black entertainers. it's probably gonna have to happen to 100 more of them for them to get it, until they can understand and believe that fat meat is greasy. But hopefully they starting to wake up. Maybe they'll wake up like the Kardashians did. You notice the Kardashians, they ain't fooling with the black entertainers no more. They done been through hell and back with them. So the Kardashians like, we get it. We thought it was the black women that were the problem, but we understand now, black women. Now that they dogging us out too and making us single mothers and embarrassing us, we realizing that it's not the black woman, it's them. So maybe they'll come to that awakening and realization like the Kardashians have. Because remember, Kardashian was on the black men, baby, on them. And once they start getting drugged through the mud and going through crap, now they going back white. But let me stop talking. I'm saying enough as is. Natasha said, exactly, Sammie. That's why she can't stand Young Miami. Yeah, that's why DJ couldn't stand Young Miami. That's why Gina couldn't stand Young Miami. Because they like, look at this ninja putting this nappy-headed, lace front wearing, come from the Pocono Bean projects in Miami, and she's the one that Diddy is going on red carpets with. She's the one that Diddy is taking to the Met Gala. She's the one that he's doing interviews with, and he's giving podcast shows to, and giving a 6-figure monthly allowance to this black girl. And you got me, this pretty exotic, my long, straight, natural hair coming out of my head, and he's treating me like nothing. How dare he? So I think that's another reason why they couldn't stand Young Miami, because he's putting this black woman, this ambiguous, she's not unambiguous. You could tell she's a black woman. He's putting this black woman up on the pedestal, and then he's smutting them out behind closed doors. And they couldn't take it. That's why Gina, especially Gina was infamous for going for Young Miami on social media, like intentionally trying to instigate things with her. So I think that's why they couldn't stand her. Because they're like, how dare this black heifer? We're supposed to be higher up than black women. And here he is, doing everything in his power to push Carisha. I mean, Carisha don't even dress the same. Diddy has helped her completely revamp her look. If you go back and look at how Young Miami used to dress in 2020 versus how she dresses in 2025, it's like night and day. She did a complete 180. Let me see what y'all saying in these comments. Also, y'all, please hit the like button. Like. Also, if you enjoy my commentary and you know others that might enjoy my commentary, please share. Also, if you're on Facebook, please follow us. We need at least 300 plus more good players to follow us on Facebook. I'm going to keep pushing that because we really want you guys. Please follow us if you're on Facebook. I will link our Facebook page. It's in our description box, but I'll also link it in our community tab when I do a call to action to our replay game. But let me see. You Get Me said they had more smoke for Miami than for his new baby mama. Yeah, because the new baby mama is Asian like them. But they were all gunning for Young Miami. And I definitely feel like her being a black woman had a lot to do with it, because they don't think that we are on the same level. And he knew that. Diddy knew that. And I feel like that was another reason why he weaponized Young Miami against them and used Young Miami to try to keep them in check and keep them emotionally unstable and dependent on him, because he knew that they thought that way about black women. And that, now, if that ain't another prime example of how sadistic Diddy is, and how he plays mind games and plays on people's insecurities and people's ignorance, I don't know what is. Diddy is something else, y'all. The way he played them women against each other, he's something else. He's something else. And that's another lesson why we there's no need for us to compete as women for these men, because a lot of us have very similar experiences. He cut a fool with her, he cut a fool with you. So At the end of the day, what are we beefing for? He ain't acting right when you had him. He ain't acting right when I had him. So what are we beefing with each other for? You know, what was the point of Gina and Young Miami and DJ beefing with each other? For what? None of them are with him right now. None of them got treated right. None of them are really truly respected or loved the way they wanted to be loved. So what was the point of them beefing with each other over him? It's not like he married any of them. So ain't none of them gonna really get that long-term access to his money, whatever's left, you know, after this is all said and done. So what was the point? You know, it's just stupid. And that's another thing we got to think about as women when we call ourselves competing with each other over these men. Is it really worth it? So yeah, y'all. So that's all I got. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. Again, if you haven't already, please hit the like button on your way out. If you know anybody that you think may like my commentary on this, please share. And you know what? I'll probably keep on, you know, talking about this Diddy stuff, child. I thought we was gonna get some action yesterday with Nesto, but I don't know what's going on with this Nesto. They made like Nesto was touching down this spring, summer. That didn't happen. Had the court case on the docket yesterday. That got canceled. So I don't know, y'all. I'm gonna keep waiting to see what's going on with this Nesto. But and we still got to talk about the call this week. That phone calls from prison drive. But I don't know. I'm gonna hold on in there, keep following this Nesto case. But in the meantime, we're gonna have to incorporate the Diddy too. We're gonna have to start talking about Diddy too, y'all, because just when we think we have an update with the Nesto situation, I don't know. Bridget said, Sammie, they sent Simon back to the motherland. I saw that. Girl, yes, I saw that. Yes, they sent Simon Gubadia, Portia Williams' estranged husband, back to the motherland, y'all. Yeah, but Simon said, he said he gonna try to make his way back. Simon said he gonna try to do that gold card that 47 got out, where you can pay what $5 million for a gold card and come back into the country. So allegedly, Simon said he's working with his legal team to see if that's an option for him. But yeah, he's back in the motherland. He's back in Nigeria. Yep. But he said his legal team, they're looking into him potentially applying for a gold card. He gonna pay the $5 million if he can to come back into the country. And shout out to Michelle ATL Brown. She said she spoke to Simon while he was in custody, ICE custody, and he said that he's working on projects like, and that he alluded to potentially doing a reality TV show. So we got to keep our ears to the street for that, Bridget. If Simon get a reality TV show, I'm a gag. Cause Simon gonna tell that tea. That's and that's who I really, really wanted to be on RHOA with Simon. If Simon Gubadia could have been able to be on RHOA telling his side, it would have been lit. Cause Portia didn't give nothing this season. She really didn't. All she did was be passive aggressive to Shamia, and I'm over it. I'm over it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that to see what happens next with Simon. Because I would love to, you know, see him do an interview, just kind of talking about his experience. He said that when he was in ICE custody, majority of the people that he ran into were Black women, and he said majority of them knew him. So he said they treated him, you know, fairly nice. That everybody was kind to him, because most of the people in there, they were Black women that knew him. So I can't wait to hear what he got to say about his experience, what he got to say about Portia. I think Portia is a Jezebel. I'm gonna just say it. I think Portia Williams is a Jezebel. I think she learned from her mama, Miss Diane, and I think Portia is another one who thought she hit a lick, and it came back to bite her. I said it. I'm standing 10 toes down. I think Portia is a Jezebel. And Miss Diane taught her. Now, I ain't mad at nobody from getting to the bag, but I just feel that in my spirit. Portia gives me Jezebel. She's a beautiful one. Beautiful. Just like her mama. Beautiful, stunning woman. But I don't think Portia really was in love with Simon. And I definitely think she was with Simon for the money. I think that Simon did genuinely care about Portia, but I think he also wanted the fame as well. But I do think he genuinely cared about her. Do I think he had a few women over there in Africa and all across the globe? Yes. But I definitely think that, in my opinion, I think Simon was more invested in the relationship than Portia was. I think they both had ulterior motives, but I feel like Simon was a little bit more sincere than Portia. I said it. And I don't have no smoke with Portia. I think Portia is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. She seems like she cool. She's another one who gives me jealous energy though. And you know, before I go, what is up with these drop dead gorgeous women being so jealous and insecure? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Not to say if you weren't gorgeous or beautiful, you should be insecure, but I think it just it just shows you, don't be envious of anybody, y'all. Don't be envious or intimidated by anybody. Don't. Because everybody's dealing with their own silent struggle. Everybody's dealing with some type of insecurity. Don't be jealous or envious of anybody because you don't know what they're going through. It's not worth it. Find something else to put your energy and time into. So, on that note, y'all, I'm gonna go ahead and get up on out of here. But yeah, I'm keeping my ears to the street with Simon because I would love to see an interview with him talking about his experience. And you know, I guess he's gonna be attending his court hearing with Portia via Zoom. He's gonna have to do it virtually because he's in Nigeria. And we'll see if Trump let him back in with the gold card. We'll see. All right, y'all. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live. You enjoyed my commentary. Please hit the like button on your way out. And like I said, share it with anybody who you think might enjoy it. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll holla at y'all later. Bye, y'all. Have a great night. Peace.